Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and this time we are looking at the Dojo Aogami Super Gyuto 210mm knife. This line of knives has a core steel of Aogami or blue paper super reactive high carbon steel. Heat treats around 62 Rockwell on that core steel. The construction is a 3-layer sandwich with softer stainless steel cladding on each side of that core steel, and this does have a lacquer coating, it looks like, over the top of that. The core steel is starting to patina just a little bit as I'm using it on the very edge, and just a little bit where the lacquer is being worn away. Okay, an interesting pattern on this cladding as well. We'll look at that. A fairly lightweight knife, 5.6 ounces, 158 grams. Edge length, these will all vary just a little bit from knife to knife, but this one's about 214 millimeters on the edge, or 8.5 inches, about 336 millimeters on the overall length. Fairly thin knives, and this one's actually a little bit stout. The 240 is a little bit more flex, but it's 1.9 millimeter above the back of the blade, and then it kind of almost thickens up just slightly, but then doesn't have a lot of distal taper. So it pretty much, the distal taper, really the taper you see is really coming in from the grind, so it pretty much maintains its thickness just till the grind hits. But it does thin up at the very, very tip. Blade height is about 45.1 millimeters, so it's not a super tall blade. The handle is a just no frills black Packawood handle. Let's get a close-up look at it here. It's a partial tang, so they've got a tang running through the top of the blade, and then it's a hidden tang on the bottom, so it's not a full complete tang. What that does is lighten up the handle a bit off of a full tang, so this gives you a balance point just behind a pinch grip, so really should work well for a racket style grip or a pinch grip. It's just slightly behind my pinch grip, which makes it super nimble. So if you're coming from a Western knife and you don't like your balance point too far forward, this might be kind of right up your alley. The cladding is cool. It's got some nice embossed kanji, nice and big, and it's got a patterned, embossed pattern hammered into it throughout the blade. It's a pretty attractive looking finish. And then you can see kind of where the grind starts, where the blade road, they've got a finish on that, but that's about where the grind starts off the flats, slightly ahead of that, but pretty much just ahead of where you see that texture change. And there's your core steel showing at the edge. Fit and finish is pretty good. I'd say the fit and finish is good on this one. You do have a little bit of a sharp edge on the spine. You probably want to sand that, and then a little bit on, it's a little bit better for a righty. The lefty and me, this is a little sharper on the left side of the blade, so I would personally probably hit this with a little sandpaper to clean it up a little bit. They are, out of the box, I'll give them a 4 out of 10. They're okay, but that's probably due to the lacquer, so once you sharpen them up, they'll get really sharp. And it's sharpened up like a typical Aogami super steel does. Got nice and sharp. And let's take a look at it on the cutting board. I'd say performance is good. It's not like a super lightsaber laser, but it's pretty good performance. It's a pretty solid knife. Again, the tip's not much distal taper, so it's not just going to blow through stuff. Well, let me change my focus here. There we go. Here's the profile. So this one's kind of a continuous curve. There's not really a lot of flat. You can even see some back belly to it towards the heel, or I should say the chin, the very, very back of the blade. I can get pretty high before I start digging the tip in, about right there. Every knife will be slightly different on that characteristic, but it should give you a pretty good general idea. Very smooth flowing profile. Be a great rocker as long as you don't have to hit super tall stuff, and not for pure chopping, but a little motion in your cut should work pretty well. So again, fairly light, nicely constructed. Might want to touch up the edges a little bit on the spine and maybe the back of the blade, but really nice Aogami super option for a reasonable price, with a very comfortable handle as well. So there you have the Dojo Aogami Super Gyuto 210mm knife.